Hello everyone, my name is Megha Iyer, Associate Editor of EPR Magazine.
The global substation automation market is estimated to be $54.2 billion by 2026 from $39.9 billion in 2021 at a CAGR of 6.3% between 2021 and 26. The growth of substation automation market is fueled by surging requirements to retrofit conventional substations, rising use of digital technology to improve grid efficiency in smart cities and more. Technological advancement in the transmission infrastructure segment are expected to play a vital role in efficient network upgrades and expansions. Because of this technological advancement, the initial cost required for setting up a digital substation is high. Moreover, the increasing use of technologies such as microprocessor and service-oriented architecture (SOA) technologies, as well as the rise in the number of embedded IEDs in substations, have increased the purchase cost. On this note, our today's Power Talk is on modern power substations. Experts across the power infrastructure and substations managers will briefly discuss the present grid infrastructure, highlighting the opportunities and challenges in adoption of the latest technologies for modern substations, stressing the need to secure them for better performance. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and privilege for me to introduce you our today's distinguished speakers, Mr. H.C. Sharma, Chief Business Development and Technical Service, Tata Power DDL, Mr. Rajesh Suri, Head Design and Engineering, Sterlite Power Transmission, Mr. Suresh Sukumaran, Growth and Technical Application Leader, Grid Automation India at GE. So delegates, let's get ready for a live power talk on modern power substations.
Mr. Suri, I would like to start with you. You spoke about hybrid substations, hybrid GIS substations. So what are the criteria concerned while designing a hybrid GIS substation?
When we are, decided on a GIS substation, today what is happening when we make GIS substations, we are putting everything indoor. Whether it is the breaker modules, the disconnector modules, the busbar modules, everything is placed indoors. And this indirectly leads to an increase in the cost because the indoor PEB building becomes much bigger. It has a larger footprint. We have to make space for other things, for movement, for people around the building and everything. So what we do in this, if the owner is not comfortable with keeping the GIS modules outdoor, it would be best to keep only the breaker modules or the disconnector modules inside the building and have a conventional AIS busbar outside the substation. So that busbar doesn't really require an indoor environment. It can be built outdoor, and the connections could be easily made with these GIS interface devices to this busbar. So that is one area which I think is now coming out into focus, and it doesn't increase the land requirement significantly. It's only by a few, maybe if you're already building it on a 5-acre plot, you would require only maybe another 1 or 2 acres to do that. So, but eventually the overall thing has to be done on a total cost of ownership basis. The evaluation has to be done like that. But it requires a regulatory intervention. The regulator, whoever it is, CEA today, who's making the technical requirements for TBCB projects, they need to give this option to the developers in the bidding documents. Only then we'll be able to benefit fully as a nation on this technology. And it's being used extensively abroad, so I don't see any reason why it cannot be done in India.
Mr. Sharma, how do you think digitalization of substation and modern equipment will help to maintain efficient power supply and power transmission?
Apart from other things, of course, it reduces a lot of copper and all those things. Definitely it will increase the reliability. In fact, it is a better fault rectification also. But as I have already said in my presentation, that we need to work on Indianization of the things. Even we will share our experience that whenever the failure were there in the substations, and we have connected to OEMs and all, and then coming back, those people who are in India as a representative of those MNCs, they are also not having that know-how to sort out the things then and there. So probably my only thing on that is that we need to develop the manpower, whether it is at the associate end, the supplier end, or it is at the end of the utility, the owner, or as a country as a whole. When we adopt it, that quickly we should be able to, whenever whoever is the owner, or so the manpower which has to come, it has to come at owner end also, it has to come at associate end also, and country as a whole, so that we need not to look outside India for the rectification or the issue to be resolved, so that real benefit out of it can be reaped. So that is the only thing I can say right now.
Mr. Sunesh, Mr. Prashant wants to know about what advanced digital tools are available and can be a part of design to detect the developing fault, that is EED, to take up preemptive actions.
This all depends on the product capability or the algorithm of the relay. So for example, if we take a distance protection relay, it has got means the algorithm to take care of this developing fault, or means a cross country fault. So it's all depends on the type of protection. So we need to see that it's what voltage level, where it is being used. So accordingly, we need to select the protection to take care of that. But if, as I mentioned, this is, for example, in transmission, this kind of things are already available. For example, distance protection. So this can be done.
Thank you, Mr. Sunesh, for addressing that. I hope Mr. Prasant is satisfied with the answer, with your response. Mr. Sharma, how are the power utilities approaching the improvement of operational efficiency and cost reduction?
Operation efficiencies and cost reduction, of course, these are two important phenomena. One thing which comes into my mind is for increasing the operational efficiencies is that if automation can come in and increase the efficiency, whether it is engaging the manpower. First of all, right from the prevention, that even before some fault happens, it is detected, and the preventive action can be taken by the. So many systems are available, aside monitoring and all those things are already available. Where based on the data available from the equipment can be analyzed, and the preventive action can be taken so that the fault does not happen, and before it happens, the actions are taken. So the reliability part of it and then the operational efficiency part, both are taken care of by the utility. So definitely automation is the key of the things, which is it is happening in India, but it is lot more rooms are available across the utilities to work on these things further.
Mr. Suri, Mr. Istau again has a question that how can earth faults in substations be minimized?
I think the answer is what came out of Mr. Sukumaran's presentation. We're using so many optical fibers now in the switchyard and eliminating the use of copper cables. That in one way is really, leading to a reduction in the earth fault in substation as more and more digitization comes in. So that is one area definitely. Others, of course, when we're using conventional battery systems, it would be a very good alternative, to go in a substation to say have a single 220 volt battery and use the other power supplies which are needed by individual technology suppliers, say at 48 volts or 24 volts. These are derived through DC-DC converters to minimize the use of batteries in a substation. But I think the digitalization happening and more optical fibers running in the yard, earth fault incidents would be reduced. And of course, the other part is, of course, you need to keep our cable trenches dry during rainfall. We need to have a good drainage system. And, as a general practice, which we are doing in Sterlite, is to have automatic submersible pumps installed in our cable trenches so that they can start automatically drain out water immediately. But I think as more and more digitalization comes in, I'm sure this problem would be eliminated to a large extent.
Yeah, I agree with Rajesh Suri sir, because this some of the feedback also we got it from some of the customers. A lot of they used to face a lot of issues with the DC earth fault in the substations, particularly unwanted pickup of auxiliary relays. Sometimes means it's creating some havoc in the system. So this largely to some extent eliminated in the substations. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Suri and Mr. Suresh for addressing that. I believe Isatro has received the kind of response that they were looking for. Mr. Suresh, coming to you, Mr. Sharma mentioned about operational efficiency, maintaining power supply. So, from design and engineering perspective, how do you think that modern design and applications are happening to obtain efficiency in substation performance?
Yeah, so when we design a substation, I mean, so the protection substation automation system itself. So we need to see that, first part should be like, okay, we have a conventional specification which is already there. And now when we migrate to the new technology, so what are the optimization without compromising the performance, of course. So as Saras mentioned, like one challenge is, of course, like putting the merging unit in the yard. So so we need to really see that means how efficient is the merging unit while keeping it in the external yard, because definitely in places like Delhi means of course the temperature can be closer to 45 to 50 degree in the peak summer time. So and along with the harsh environment. So these are some of the challenges, of course. But now the thing is that this merging units or merging unit based data substation is already there in the system for last many years now. So it's moving away from the pilot stage to the real commercial projects. So many of the customers have already started commercial projects. They're seeing the benefits of data substation. So this is where probably we need to see that how this can be adapted to the requirement of, because different customers or different users will have different requirements. So how this can be adapted to suit their requirement.
Mr. Suri, can I request you to make a closing statement for our session?
As I mentioned in my presentation, with more and more renewables coming to the grid and the grid becoming more complex in terms of operation, I think digitization is the answer to all the problems we have. We have to have technology to the extent possible, remove a human interface so that substations can be operated remotely, and use digitization to the maximum impact. That is, even say by reporting problems or having troubleshooting. And just to mention, Sterlite itself has been in the forefront of a lot of digitization in its substations. All our substations are today, I would say, digital hybrid. They're not fully digital, but as Mr. Sukumaran showed in his presentation, with the advent of electronic CTs, these NCITs, you can use in the switchyard, from where you don't even eliminate the use of merging units. Those are some things which you need to start manufacturing in the country locally. And I would only ask GE probably to take a lead in this, because they're one of the leading suppliers of these optical CTs and VTs in the world. So probably that would be a very good starting point. I know they've done some experimental installations have been done for Power Grid, but I think to have it on a more large commercial scale for other utilities and developers, it's important that it's developed locally. So I think digitization is the way forward for our transmission sector, and especially in the substation arena. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suri. That's great. It was a privilege to have the industry experts like you in this panel to discuss such topics. Now, moving towards the closing, I would like to invite Nitish to take forward.
Thank you, panelists, for sharing your valuable thoughts on modern power substations. We hope you all have enjoyed the session. Before wrapping up the session, we would like to thank our distinguished panelists, Mr. H.C. Sharma, Mr. Rajesh Suri, and Mr. Sunesh Sukumaran. I would also like to thank our editor, Mr. Prasad Nair, for taking this initiative. To get more updates from EPR Magazine, you can follow our social media pages. Also, our application is available on Google Play and App Store for enhanced reading. With this, we would like to announce the closing of today's session. I request you all to stay tuned for more such sessions. Thank you and goodbye.